live in India, but they advocate Pakistan's lines. We're talking about the separatists, the Hurriyat leadership. Now, the central government is seriously considering withdrawing security given to leaders like Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani and others of the all-party Hurriyat conference. Security, central security and state security provided to them at the taxpayers' cost. This is what the Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh said. One thing is very clear. This, as of now, is only under consideration. It remains to be seen how long before this is actually implemented on ground, because crores have been spent on salaries of security personnel and automobiles provided to these separatists. In the past 10 years, more than 11 crore of the Indian taxpayers' money has been spent on people who advocate Pakistan's agenda.
पाकिस्तान और आईएसआई से पैसा लेने वाले भी कुछ एलिमेंट्स यहां पर हैं, कुछ ताकतें हैं। और मैंने आज कहा है स्पष्ट रूप से यहां अधिकारियों को भी जम्मू कश्मीर के कि ऐसे लोग जो पाकिस्तान से पैसा लेते हैं, आईएसआई के साथ जिन लोगों की मिली भगत है, उनके सिक्योरिटी को रिव्यू किया जाना चाहिए।
Security should be reviewed is what the Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh says. After 40 braves of the Central Reserve Police Force have been killed, the question is, should a decision now not being taken to withdraw security to these Hurriyat leaders? Several of them, 14 of them, as far as Government of India records go, have been given security to a tune of 11 crore. 11 crore rupees have been spent on their security in the past decade alone. Vehicles, escort vehicles, vehicles for them to travel and for their security. Now, why should that happen? That's question number one. Let's also now cut across to our reporters. We have the biggest team of reporters on ground. India Today's Abhishek Bhalla will join us from Srinagar in a moment. I quickly want to cut across to Unnao in Uttar Pradesh, where Nilanshu Shukla, my colleague, joins me. And Nilanshu, as the mortal remains come home, there isn't a dry eye, but there is also this demand that this must stop and Pakistan must pay. Nilanshu. I will try and establish this line with Nilanshu in just a moment, but I also want to bring in Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad, former Director General of Infantry, someone who served very extensively in this area. Also joining us is Major General Harsha Kakkar. But General Shankar Prasad, to you first. Security provided to Hurriyat leaders. They live in our country and they parrot Pakistan's agenda. Should the government still be considering withdrawing security, or should this have been done as on yesterday?
You're absolutely right. The entire nation wants to know that why is it that we are giving money to those people who promote anti-India slogans? Why are we doing it for so many years? Not only the transport, not only the security, but we also provide them many other facilities. Perhaps some support in Delhi, some support in Bombay, medical areas. So why is it? They are citizens of India, certainly, so am I, so are you. Am I and you provided security? For what? If they think that they are parts of India, we pay taxes. Do they pay taxes as much you and I pay? They must be made to pay their full taxes on the income that they declare. Must be checked where is this income coming from. Like you and I will have to be under scrutiny, and also see why should they be given any transport, why should they be given any security. After all, if a lot of people in Delhi and Bombay and elsewhere need security for whatever personal reasons, they hire security guards. Let them hire. There are armed guards available, there are unarmed guards available, there are taxis available. Please hire them. You and I don't, we have to do it. Every citizen in India. So why are we doing any separate thing for separate people?
Oh,
we will only question of getting money from Pakistan, Gaurav. I ask you, do you get security? Do I get security? Do I get government transport? Do I get hospital facility like these
No,
people get?
you're spot on.
I'm sorry.
You're spot on.
Common sense. Do I have to file my income tax return every year with
And
under
slush
scrutiny?
funds. And slush funds. The taxpayers' money.
Let's check out their income tax
It
returns.
must absolutely stop. The question is, why is it that the government is still considering it?
Yes.
Why hasn't it happened as on yesterday? And I want to bring in India Today's Abhishek Bhalla for more on this. So Abhishek, yes. Oh, absolutely. Abhishek, the government even in the past, every time there's a terror attack, the government says we are cracking the whip, we are cracking down on this Pakistan supply route, we are cracking down on the Hurriyat, we are cracking down on the Hawala network. Last time you and I were in Srinagar, there were NIA teams that were here. They carried out a series of raids. But is this only political pressure on these separatists? And then, the government eases the pressure. It's not taken to its logical conclusion. What happened after the previous raids on the Hawala operators and businessmen in Kashmir who were detained, Abhishek? So this time, is the government serious about withdrawing security from the Hurriyat? Or is this more because there is so much anger, this is just a safety valve?
Well, definitely there's pressure on the government to do something and do something concrete. And that's the reason why Home Minister Rajnath Singh yesterday said that those who are getting funds from Pakistan, who are getting funding from ISI, their security should be withdrawn. Now, that was a clear hint to separatist leaders. But what we hear is that there is no concrete decision. Yes, it's being reviewed. It's still in the pipelines. Things are being discussed. Everything is being weighed. What will be the reaction to such a decision? But as of now, the government is seriously considering this as one option to put some pressure on those who, in one way or the other, support terrorists, and that's the reason why the NIA has also been investigating a larger terror funding conspiracy in which various Hurriyat leaders were under scanner.
The question remains, Abhishek, the question remains, are these a series of half measures? Because if the government actually wants to control terror, if the government wants to ensure that our braves don't continue making the supreme sacrifice of their lives, now there must be a series of full measures on Pakistan and Pakistani ecosystem in our country. And full measure, Major General K.K. Sinha in no way means going to war with Pakistan. There are many other ways to make Pakistan bleed. In India, we are not advocating a military offensive. We do not do that. That's for the government to decide. That's for the armed forces to decide. But that Pakistani ecosystem, that needs to be taken down, and no half measures there, General Sinha. Okay, we are trying to re-establish that link with General Sinha in just a moment. General Kakkar, if you can hear me, you've been covering this for very, very long, not just from the military side, but after your retirement, General, you've been advocating certain measures that the government must take immediately to ensure that Pakistan does not have an enabling ecosystem. Terrorists don't have an enabling ecosystem. And for that, a message has to go down to the all-party Hurriyat conference and others like that in Kashmir. General Kakkar.
Yeah, Gaurav, the first thing is anyone who makes a comment against India south of Kashmir is charged with sedition. Why are these people different? Why are they treated differently? They should be charged with sedition, locked up, moved out of the valley and dumped somewhere in Tihar. Why are we letting them stay there and criticize India? You try doing it in JNU, you're charged with sedition. You try doing it in AMU, you're charged with sedition. Why are you letting it happen in the valley? This should have been done long back. Secondly, the progress by the ED starts, cools down, starts again. Why? That should continue. These are the guys who should have been locked up years ago if you wanted to bring the temperature in the valley down. But we have been keeping quiet about it. Now you want to withdraw security. Why security? If they're making these comments, then they're meant to be locked and moved out. That's the first action that the government should take. And I have been advocating it for a long time. Secondly, everyone knew as elections come close, there is going to be an incident. It was well aware. I must have written about it almost 30 times. And we had to be prepared that there would be something because you wanted to impact the political environment in the country. And now that it's happened, act, because you've got the reason now to act. Why do you want to still contemplate? It should have been all announced and done yesterday absolutely clearly.
Why contemplate? And that is a question that the Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh must answer. Even now, why just contemplate? Why has this already not been done? And we'll track that story closely. For the moment, I want to go to Uttar Pradesh. I want to go to Unnao. Of the 40 braves who've made the supreme sacrifice of their lives, 12 are from Uttar Pradesh. Nilanshu Shukla joins me from there. And Nilanshu, Constable Ratan's father, and you know, there wasn't a dry eye. I heard him when he said, I have two sons. One made the supreme sacrifice for Ma Bharti. I will let the second one also join the security forces. But the sacrifice of my elder son must be avenged, is what he said. Take us through what's happening, the sentiment in Uttar Pradesh.
Well, Gaurav, let me tell you that right now we are standing outside the residence of CRPF Jawan who lost his life in the Pulwama terror attack, and you can see that hundreds of people have gathered here to pay tribute to the martyr. And let me tell you that a truck has also been brought here in which his mortal remains will be taken to different parts of the city so that a large number of people could pay last respects to him. And cremation is expected to happen around noon, and the people here are very agitated. They are saying that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has promised strict action. He has given free hand to the armed forces, and this is time for action, and action should be taken very strictly so that such kind of incidents do not happen in future. I am joined by some of the people here. आप बताइए, प्रधानमंत्री ने बोला है कि सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी, मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया जाएगा। उन्होंने ये भी बोला है कि सेना को खुली छूट दी गई है।
देखिए, आपके चैनल के माध्यम से मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि हमारे देश के जो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो भी स्ट्रिक्ट आदेश किया है, उसके लिए मैं सबसे पहले धन्यवाद ताली बजा करके देना चाहता हूं। कम से कम उन्होंने ये पराक्रमपूर्ण कार्य किया है। लेकिन फिर भी मैं चैनल के माध्यम से प्रधानमंत्री जी के सामने कुछ मतलब अपने प्रश्न रखना चाहता हूं। जनता के माध्यम से जो लोग शहीद हुए हैं, उनके परिवारों की तरफ से, आम जनमानस की तरफ से। देखिए, ये जो आज हमारा जो ये सिलसिला चल रहा है, जो भी संवेदनाओं का सिलसिला चल रहा है, ये कब तक जारी रहेगा? मेरा पहला ये क्वेश्चन है प्रधानमंत्री जी से कि ये सिलसिला कब तक चलता रहेगा? एक पठानकोट बेस हमला, दूसरा उड़ी सेक्टर हमला, तीसरा ये जो आज ये 40 जवान हमारे देश के शहीद हुए हैं, इन परिवारों का संवेदनाओं का सिलसिला ये कब तक चलता रहेगा? ये मैं प्रधानमंत्री जी से प्रश्न कर रहा हूं कि ये जनता को तत्काल निर्णय दे। मैं ये सुनना नहीं चाहता हूं। दूसरी
साहब, मैं ये कहता हूँ, खून के बदले खून चाहिए। हमारा खून का बदला खून चाहिए।
You can clearly see that the people here are very agitated. They are raising slogan against Pakistan, and they are saying that it is time for strict action, and whatever Prime Minister has said, it should be delivered, and it should be delivered soonest.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, revenge is a dish that's best served cold. And in this case, we are not even talking about revenge. This is all about imposing costs on Pakistan to ensure that terror is not a low-cost option for Pakistan to continue to bleed India. Remember, there is a difference. Pakistan has lost every war to India since 1947, but Pakistan uses terror as state policy. I'll tell you more about that, and that is where India is rallying world opinion to isolate Pakistan. But before that, the sentiment on ground, the mood on ground, and everyone seems to say, bas ab aur nahi, पाकिस्तान को सबक सिखाओ. Take a look.
मेरा बच्चा जिहड़ा है जी, मैं ते नाथ हो गया, पर मेरे जो बच्चा नाल नहीं होना चाहिए.
Shocked, traumatized, inconsolable. These are the voices of families who lost their dear ones in the horrific terror attack in Pulwama. This is father of Ratan Kumar Thakur. Even in his anguish, he vows to send his second son to fight for the country.
इस बेटा को भी हम युद्ध में लड़ने के लिए भेज देंगे, इसको भी भारत माता की कोख में देने के लिए हम तैयार हैं, लेकिन उसका खात्मा कर देना चाहिए सर। जीना है तो मरना सीखो, कदम कदम पे लड़ना सीखो सर।
While the agony in their voices is palpable, their anger is pushing them to seek vengeance. Sukhjinder Singh did not have a child for 7 years. He and his wife Dalbir Kaur had a child last year after years of prayers. His wife is now demanding justice.
मेरे पति ने जो शहादत तो यह होता बदला लिया जाए पाकिस्तान को।
Narayan Lal Gujar's family is proud that their son was martyred in the line of duty. They appeal to the Prime Minister to wipe out terrorism from India.
मैं नरेंद्र मोदी जी से निवेदन करना चाहता हूं कि आप ये टेररिज्म का भी नामो निशान मिटा दो।
Victims of terror are from all corners, from Punjab to Kerala to Assam. A country united in grief, even as it vows to get justice for the brave hearts, the loss of these families will never truly be compensated. Bureau Report, India Today.
And the National Investigation Agency has intensified its investigations into the Pulwama terror attack. On ground zero, the NIA team, the National Bomb Data Center team, the NSG team, they've collected samples from ground. Now they're analyzing the kind of explosives that were used in this terror attack. The vehicle that was used, initially it was said it was a sports utility vehicle, but now security forces say this could have been a van. A van could have been used because of the amount of explosives that was used. There was a massive explosion, there was a crater on ground, and the CRPF bus, the fifth bus in a 78 vehicle convoy, was reduced to just mangled remains. The NIA is also being assisted by the Jammu and Kashmir police in investigations, because remember, one terrorist has been killed, but apart from that one terrorist, that enabling ecosystem is still out there. Who are the people who helped this terrorist, Adil Ahmad Dar, assemble the bomb? Who has that kind of expertise? Because security forces are very clear. This wasn't a crude device. This was a highly sophisticated device. And I quickly want to cut across to Abhishek Bhalla, my colleague on ground zero, who's getting us the details, the latest in the NIA investigations. Abhishek, if you can hear me, Jammu and Kashmir police, the CRPF and the NIA, there are investigations that are on multiple tracks in South Kashmir. General Kakkad, investigations underway on ground, and the kind of explosives that were used very clearly go on to indicate that this was a highly sophisticated device. It wasn't a crude device as some initially thought it was.
No, it was not. The fact is, you were able to get so much of explosive which was undetected. Part of it could have come from the LOC, but there's so much of construction work going on in Kashmir, whether it's the tunnels, the roads, the railways, everywhere there is explosives being used. So where did it come from? Secondly, the assembling, there were talks about a Taliban, ex-Taliban member who had been inducted in basically for this job. And to assemble a vehicle of this sort would have been at least a week's time. So that means the entire thing was kept under wraps for such a time. And in all probability, it couldn't have been in a remote area because there are a lot of tools and equipment required for it to be assembled. So once the NIA gets into the depths, that is how the link between the ecosystem is going to get clear. And unless we remove it, we can expect more to happen.
And And that's the big fear. Commodore GJ is saying that one bomb has detonated, but there is clear and present danger that those who assembled this bomb, those who indoctrinated this Dar, Adil Dar, to become a suicide bomber, they are still out there, and they could well be doing the same, preparing for the next terror attack. And we are not fear-mongering. This is clear and present danger. Commodore Singh.
Yes, absolutely, because to have a blast of this intensity and high intensity blast in which to the radius of almost 3 to 4 kilometers, all the window panes were shattered. It is an evidence, an indication that the enemy on the other side is, on the prowl. They are looking out for every opportunity to strike us. And as you mentioned about the suicide bombers, there's no lack of it. The cannon fodder pool which is available to these terrorists who are residing, who are operating from across the border, there's no dearth. There are enough, suicide bombers to come and kill themselves out here in India, in Kashmir. But at the same time, I must clarify here that the terrorism which we have, the center of gravity of this terrorism does not lie in Kashmir, it lies in Pakistan. Unless and until we address that center, this will never stop, because the people like Hafiz Saeed, the people like Asghar Masood,
there are two aspects. You're spot on. You're spot on. What's happening in our country, General, as you very rightly point out.
Care of. And at the same time,
absolutely.
I also
our policy is too defensive. General, stay with me for a moment. I quickly want to now shift focus to the other big story that we're tracking here, is that the nation comes together. Stay with me for a moment. Stay with me for a moment. There's another dimension to this, and that dimension is take the war, and I don't mean literal military war, but this war on terror into the enemy camp. And for that, the nation needs to stand together. The nation needs to have one policy. All political parties in this country need to be on the same page. Is that finally happening? Because today in Delhi, all the political parties are coming together. They will discuss the road ahead. Yesterday, the principal opposition party, the Congress party, said that they stand with the Narendra Modi government in this hour of need. That's point one. Point two, the road ahead. The government will lay out the roadmap. Let's listen into a lot of reactions coming in India Today's Moshmi Singh will also join us in a moment. I'll get you much more on that story.
मैं आतंकी संगठनों को और उनके सरपरस्तों को कहना चाहता हूं कि वे बहुत बड़ी गलती कर चुके हैं। बहुत बड़ी कीमत उनको चुकानी पड़ेगी।
The most favored nation status which had been granted to Pakistan stands withdrawn. The Ministry of Commerce will issue the necessary communications in this regard.
This is a time of mourning. This is a time of sadness. This is a time of respect. We are fully supporting the government of India and our security forces. We are not going to get into any conversation other than the fact that our most beloved people have been killed, their families need us, and we are going to stand with them. There is going to be no other discussion, as far as I am concerned, from the Congress party over the next couple of days on this matter. We are going to be supporting our security forces and our government.
I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Moshmi Singh. And Moshmi, the entire country stands together and expects of its political leadership that they will stand together to formulate a policy, a bipartisan national policy to deal with Pakistan's state-sponsored terror. Do we see contours of that emerging? What's happening on ground, Maushmi?
Right, Gaurav. As you said, when the parliament attack happened, then after that the government had called an all-party meeting, and this being one of the most dastardly attacks in recent times, the government has reached out to opposition parties. There were several appeals by the opposition leaders as well for the government to brief them and get them on the same platform as far as update on that attack is concerned. And we do believe that Rajnath Singh, the Home Minister, would be briefing all the opposition parties today at about 11 a.m. in the Parliament Library about what is that the government would be doing, what is the road ahead, how are they planning to isolate Pakistan completely, what is the evidence that they have. They have said that they have solid evidence, so they would be putting that forward in not so much of a detailed roadmap, but a summary of what the government is contemplating. Remember that all the parties have expressed solidarity and said that we will stand united with the government. So really the opposition parties would be listening to what the government has to say and waiting for future action.
But Maushmi, are these only words? Because, you know, Maushmi, we were covering the parliament terror attacks. We covered the Kargil War of 1999. And each time we see our political leaders, they say that we stand united, India stands united, and then everything is forgotten. We again go and engage with Pakistan. We again, you know, whether there's an Agra summit or a Sharm el-Sheikh summit, and I'm not talking about either Congress or BJP, irrespective of the government, does India have a national policy, or after this Shraddhanjali that everyone does and 2 minutes come on, it's back to business as usual? Or this time do we see a real effort to forge a bipartisan national effort to deal with a state sponsor of terror called Pakistan? In fact, yesterday when I was interviewing R.R. Bhatnagar, the Director General of CRPF, and we will play that interview out in a short while from now, radicalization of local youth in Kashmir by Maulvis, by internet, by elements that are coming from across the line of control, all of that is a major threat in the Kashmir Valley. Unfortunately, not much appears to be happening on ground for de-radicalization on counter-radicalization, and Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad, that's a major cause for concern. If a 19-year-old boy who wants to leave his house to become a cleric becomes a suicide bomber, that's a major cause for concern.
Yes, it is, Gaurav, and I must tell you that it's been going on for over 20 years now. It is now beginning to take shape, which is coming in public area. The schools had been closed. There are people involved in radicalizing them, not only the Maulvis, but many of the people who support this radicalization of youth in Kashmir. This is the major cause, as many people have been saying, and articles have been written on it. That is the radicalization toward Islam that is motivating these young people, some of them educated, some of them drop out, some of them not uneducated, to follow this path of terrorism. Gaurav, this is something serious. It's been going on for a while. We have been neglecting it. Now it's time that we really came heavily on it. I want to make one more point as far as unity is concerned, Gaurav, which is so important. I want to tell you that unity as far of the opposition parties, or of all political parties, opposition or in power, is that it should not be a short term. As far as national security is concerned, all political parties must unite to stand together. This is the biggest problem of our security apparatus. The moment 1 week will be over and people will again start saying, politicizing the army, politicizing this, that and the other. You know all the issues which are not worthwhile telling on the television. But the point is very simple, that enemy gets boldened if he finds your political class separated in as far as national security is concerned. You can fight on everything else. You can fight on farmers, you can fight on any other issues about loan waivers, this, that and the other. But for God's sake, remain united.
No, but General, I want to stay on the issue of radicalization for a moment. I'll come to the political class in just a moment. I'll come to that in just a moment. I want to stay on the issue of radicalization. General, stay with me for a moment. General Harsha Kakkad, the issue of radicalization, is it that we are so scared of dealing with this threat of radicalization, General Kakkad, that we don't even want to address it? Like an ostrich, we bury our head in the sand, and this is happening on the internet, this is happening in places of religious teaching, this is happening in the environment, this is happening when preachers come from across. But General Kakkad, I've been interviewing some officers in the intelligence agencies who tell me that there are Maulvis who are coming from the rest of the country, from certain seminaries in Uttar Pradesh, and they are the ones who are radicalizing youth here to follow a certain pattern of religion and not India first. That's a cause of grave concern, and again because of politics that is not being addressed, General.
There is no doubt about it. In fact, we've been avoiding it. There have been immense demands which have been made by the army also, that we need to set up our own system of employing youth to counter the mistruths, to counter the false news, to counter the impact of the Maulvis who are there, who are actually spreading hatred, but nothing seems to be moving. You don't allocate funds, you don't work out a central policy, you don't have a system. It appears as if the government is keen to let it move the way it is, hoping it will die down, but it won't. Take a simple example. Every one of us knows the fact that in POK life is hell. You have no freedom, you have nothing. But the fact is, when you look at Kashmir, none of that news comes in. Why are we not projecting that POK is hell, Kashmir is heaven? You have the freedom to speak, you have the freedom to travel, you can't do that there. Why are we not projecting that ask POK to join you? Why should you look to join Pak? We are not doing any alternative action. We are actually just sitting quiet and letting it go.
That's a very important
That is something
point.
I hope
that's
now,
a very important
after
point.
this incident, the government wakes up and takes seriously.
And this is now the 5th year of the Narendra Modi government. If not now, then when? And the bigger question, why hasn't it happened in the past 70 years? Why is it that truth is not spoken on TV? And you've just had an international report, not an Indian report. The Freedom of the World report has put it on record. There is no freedom in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The situation in Pakistan is very bad for media in Pakistan, for civil society in Pakistan. And yet, you have elements here where I'm standing in Kashmir. There are chaps who are going to say, Jeeve, Jeeve Pakistan. When will that narrative change and how? That story and lots more coming up. Why is it that India wants to isolate Pakistan? There are two pictures I want you to see. One is the face of terror. Adil Ahmad Dar, a lad from Kashmir who was indoctrinated by elements in Pakistan. And two, we will take you to Pakistan, take you to ground zero, where Jaish-e-Mohammad, a banned terrorist organization, has more seminaries coming up. First, the face of terror, Adil, and then we'll take you to Pakistan.
A dastardly terror attack that claimed the lives of 40 Jawans, orchestrated by a terror group with roots in Pakistan. Their tool of attack, a 19-year-old Kashmiri boy, Adil Ahmad Dar. Just moments after Dar rammed an SUV laden with 200 kilos of explosives into a CRPF convoy on Thursday afternoon, a video of Dar went viral. By the time you see this, I would be in heaven, said Adil Dar, alias Wakas. With a flag of Jaish-e-Mohammad in the backdrop and armed with 10 grenades and 3 guns, he could be heard warning of more terror attacks in India. How Adil Dar could deceive multiple layers of security, escape intelligence networks' eagle eyes, has foxed the security agencies. Sources tell India Today, Dar was at the lowest rung of the terror hierarchy and categorized as Grade C terrorist, and hence was not under watch. Intelligence officials now believe this could be Jaish's new strategy. Use young, local Kashmiris who keep a low profile and escape the strong gaze of counter-terror agencies. This teenager from Gundibag joined terror ranks last year. A mason by profession, Dar had gone missing on March 19, 2018. He was with Zakir Musa's Ghazwat-ul-Hind before shifting his loyalties to Jaish-e-Mohammad. Dar's father has denied any knowledge of his son's terror links. He says Adil was studying in class 12 and when he left home last year, he never returned.
Gulam Hasan Dar.
Kismu se paran te kya
was paran bahi me. Os dewa imtihan was tam sa Jawan prioritas maza. Idra jo kasma marches maza. Ye maza ke mai kunuwa. Pad boz ke baat polisan kores phone to is kenchi karun phala kenchi karun is kenya. Ashe to ta paya vaya ki he. Ashe police se kara phone is kenchi dele. Kunuwa sa lago.
Ka kalas us parane.
Bahi os parane.
In 2018, more than 250 terrorists were neutralized by security forces in the Kashmir Valley. More than 50 were either arrested or surrendered and joined the mainstream. But the fact that a C-category terrorist like Adil Ahmad Dar became a human bomb shows radicalization is a major issue. And this is something not just the security forces, but the society in Kashmir, the government, need to grapple with. With cameraman Tariq Lone in Srinagar, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. Now this is one part of the story, radicalization of local youth in Jammu and Kashmir. Let me now take you across the border to Bahawalpur in South Punjab in Pakistan. One of the biggest bases of terror, India-centric terror of the Jaish-e-Mohammad is in South Punjab in Pakistan. Lashkar-e-Taiba is in Muridke. Jaish-e-Mohammad is in Bahawalpur. Take a look at how, despite being a UN-designated banned terrorist organization, the Jaish-e-Mohammad is still flourishing in Pakistan, in gross violation of all international norms and rules.
About 400 kilometers from Lahore is the 12th largest city of Punjab province, Bahawalpur. Rich in cultural history, it's a city of ancient monuments and mosques. But here is the city's sinister underbelly. In its outskirts, just off National Highway 5, lies the Jamia Masjid Subhanallah. This mosque is allegedly the new center of Jaish-e-Mohammad, and it is here that Jaish chief Masood Azhar operates from. What was just a basic structure earlier has developed into this grand structure in the last few years. Spread across a sprawling 16 acres, sources have told India Today that this complex includes kitchens, medical facilities, classrooms and a large underground facility, possibly for the use as a secure housing or indoor firing range. Masood Azhar's new den lies here in Bahawalpur, a mere 600 kilometers from Imran Khan in Islamabad. Here the Jaish chief continues to thrive under Imran Khan's nose. Continues to plot terror attacks under Imran Khan's nose. Radicalizes youth under Imran Khan's nose. And yet Imran Khan says nothing. If this is not political patronage, what is? Bureau Report, India Today.
Political patronage to terror in Pakistan is a foregone conclusion. More than political patronage, it's actually Pakistan Army and ISI support to terror. But now is the time to degrade Pakistan's ability to wage this terror war against India at a place and time of India's choosing. That is all I have time for in this India Today special from Srinagar. Many thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.